Hello friends and welcome. So far we have completed these and these important terms. In this video we'll look into the special numbers and also see test divisibility of numbers. So let's get started with special numbers. So we start with perfect numbers. We say that 6 is a perfect number because the sum of its factors is equals to twice the number itself. Therefore, the factors of 6, which are 1, 2, 3 and 6 also, so the sum is equals to 12, which is twice of 6, therefore 6 is a perfect number. There's also another definition of perfect number. If the sum of the proper factors is equal to the number itself, then the number is a perfect number. Proper factors means if you remove the number itself from the factor. So the proper factors will be 1, 2 and 3. So if you add all the factors and the sum is twice the number, then it is a perfect number. Or if you sum the proper factors, then the sum should be equal to 6. Next, prime numbers. So any number other than 1 whose only factors are 1 and the number itself are called prime numbers. So these are the example of prime numbers. All these numbers have factors only 1 and the number itself. But remember, 1 is not a prime number and 2 is the smallest prime number and is only the even prime number. So composite numbers are the numbers which have more than 2 factors. So it is basically opposite of prime numbers. And what are co-prime numbers? Co-prime numbers are the set of two numbers which have only 1 as a common factor. So for example, 4 and 15. So when you find the common factors between them, you will only get 1 as the common factor. So since there is only one common factor and that too is 1, so the HCF between these two numbers would be 1. And also observe that these numbers should not necessarily be prime numbers itself. So one thing you have to remember is that 1 is neither a prime nor a composite number. And then we have even number and odd number. Even number are the numbers divisible by 2 and odd numbers are the numbers which are not divisible by 2. So keep these special numbers in mind. Now we'll see the test divisibility of numbers. So in the divisibility of the numbers, we'll look into the rules by which we can check a number is divisible by some numbers or not. So we'll see the divisibility rules of numbers from 1 to 11 except for 7. There are no rules for 7. So to check whether if a number is divisible by 7, we'll have to manually divide it. For the rest, we'll look into the rules. So for 1, we know that all numbers are divisible by 1. And 2, only the even numbers are divisible by 2. And the numbers which are divisible by 2, we call them as even numbers. We say that a number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is a multiple of 3. So for example, in this number, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 is a multiple of 3. Therefore, this number is divisible by 3. So for 4, the number with 3 or more digits is divisible by 4 if the number found by the last 2 digits is a multiple of 4. So the first rule is that it has to be 3 or more digits. And then we have to check the last 2 digits. So for example, this number 2024. So the last 2 digits 24 is a multiple of 4. Therefore this number is divisible by 4. Similarly the last 2 digit 96 is divisible by 4. Hence this number is divisible by 4. Now for 5 it is easy. In the ones place it has to be 5 or 0. Then the number is divisible by 5. For 6, if the number is divisible by 2 and 3, then the number is divisible by 6. For example, all these numbers are divisible by 2 and 3. Hence it is divisible by 6. For 8, it is similar to 4. It is just that it has to be 4 or more digits and we'll have to check the last 3 digits. For example here, in the last 3 digits we have 800. 800 is a multiple of 8 or is divisible by 8. Therefore this number is divisible by 8. 9 is similar to 3. It's just that the sum of the numbers should be multiple of 9. For example, 234. The sum of the digits is equals to 9. Therefore this number is divisible by 9. For 10 it is very easy. The number at the ones place should be 0. Then the number is divisible by 10. For 11, if the difference between the sum of digits at odd and even place of the number is either 0 or divisible by 11, then the number is divisible by 11. For example, consider this number. The sum of the digits at the odds place from right will be 7 plus 5, 12, 12 plus 3, 15, and 15 plus 1, 16. And the sum of the digits at even place from the right will be 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 6, 16. So the difference between these two sum will be 16 minus 16, which is 0. Therefore, this number will be divisible by 11. So this was all about divisibility of number. All the rules are very easy. Just keep in mind the rules for 4, 8 and 11. Others are easy to remember. Now we'll see some further divisibility rules. So the first rule says that if a number is divisible by another number, then it is divisible by each of the factors of that number. For example, 18 is divisible by 9. So 18 will be divisible by all the factors of 9 as well. So for example, the factor of 9, 3. 3 can also divide 18. So 18 is divisible by the factors of 9 as well. So similarly, 18 is divisible by 6. So the factors of 6 can also divide 18. Another example, 24. 8 can divide 24. And the factors of 8, for example 1, 2 and 4 and others, can also divide 24. So this is one of the properties of divisibility. So the second divisibility rule says that if a number is divisible by two co-prime numbers, then it is divisible by their product also. For example, 80 is divisible by 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are co-prime numbers. Co-prime numbers are the numbers which have only one common factor, which is 1, or their HCF is 1. So since 80 has factors 4 and 5 which are co-prime, therefore the product of these two co-prime numbers, which is 20, is also a factor of 80. In another example, 60 can be divided by 3 and 5, and 3 and 5 are also co-prime numbers. Therefore the product of 3 and 5, 15, is also a factor of 60. The third divisibility rule says that if two given numbers are divisible by a number, then their sum is also divisible by that number. For example, if 16 and 20 is divisible by 4, then the sum of 16 and 20 will also be divisible by 4. So the sum of 16 and 20 will be 36. 36 will also be divisible by 4. So similarly, the fourth one, if two numbers are divisible by a number, then their difference is also divisible by that number. For example, 35 and 20 is divisible by 5. Therefore, the difference between these two numbers, which is 15, is also divisible by 5. Right? So, but keep all these 4 points in mind. So this was the last part of basics of number. So before going to basics of number system, solve the questions for this tutorial and then move ahead. So until then, take care and study well.